Gambit's always looking for guardians.
I
You
fucking
in?
did it.
Watch your back out there, brother. The things I've killed you wouldn't believe. You seen what the derelict's dragging? I know the Vanguard know about the maintenance frame.
Oh god, it
So
looks
what are they
awful.
doing?
Well, as you guys saw, I spent all day today grinding the Breakneck. Start of the season of the Forge, and of course we're going to go for the pinnacle weapon of Gambit. The Breakneck has the special perk, Onslaught, which this weapon rate of fire increases as you stack Rampage. Obviously with Rampage, sounds pretty good, so with Lunafaction boots, I thought that this weapon would be pretty spicy. So we're going to go ahead and find out just how spicy it is. So let's jump right into the weapon, right? It's a 450 RPM. Those on this channel know that I love 450 RPMs. I have a video on Tiger Spite from when it first came out, and I have a video from Horror Story, which is pretty much just better origin story from when it first came out. And both of them are some of my favorite weapons of all time, specifically Horror Story, which I haven't stopped using since I got it. I love it. It's an incredible PvP weapon, and you may have noticed that I had Luna's Howl. I grinded the entire quest on the last day. I was at like 1,500 points, but I did the entire actual quest on the last day. And obviously, like, I'm still using Horror Story. I used a little bit of Ace of Spades, but it was a really good weapon. So, starting off as a 450, it's a pretty good candidate for being a good weapon, right? So that's good. Put that on top of the fact that 450 RPM until you get one kill and then it starts firing faster makes it a pretty lethal threat. Obviously, most notably in PvE, where you're able to get those stacks and just chain those stacks forever, but that doesn't stop it from being a really good weapon in PvP as well. Like I said, it's a solid 450, and 450s are what I always use in the Crucible. So that on top of the fact that it has really good perks and it has just really good stats as well makes it a good contender for PvP as well. When you're in situations where you're in a 2v1, you're going to notice that it works a lot more than most people would expect it to, because you're going to get that first kill, and if you're lucky enough, you're going to be able to melt the second person before they're able to finish you off, depending on how competent the players are. And with the fact that the game's free for a lot of players, it's not always the most competent people in the Crucible right now. So, that on top of everything else, this gun is kind of just a monster. In PvP, in PvE, it is a jack of all trades. If we're being completely honest, it's a solid gun, and it better have been, seeing as this gun took about 9 to 10 hours to grind. 9 to 10 hours. And you're thinking like, oh, the quest steps aren't that bad, the auto rifle kills. You're right, none of that is that bad, except 40 Gambit games can only be played so quickly. And my group, we only lost about 3 out of 40 games. We were stomping, we weren't doing any of the Syntheseps cheese, and luckily for us, we never ran into the Syntheseps cheese either. But overall, the fact that I was willing to go back into Gambit after getting this gun to show it off says a lot. But it was a really good time using this gun, right? We're going up against a sweaty 3-stack here, and granted, winning is not exactly something that's probably going to happen with a bunch of randoms in this situation, but like, we're still able to show off the weapon, and just using the weapon made me want to use it more, right? If I didn't have other stuff to do, I would have kept playing until I got a god game to show off, but I thought this weapon showed off the gun good enough, right? It's a really solid gun. It was a lot of fun to use. In fact, thinking about how much fun I had playing with this gun for like a game or two compared to, well, getting this gun, it's quite different. It's quite different. This weapon is strength. It kills trash mobs so quickly, and you're able to quickly chain through them. And once you have 3 stacks, hell, it melts through Minotaurs and stuff just as well. With a 1 stack, it's pretty decent, but sometimes it's not. It's really just the shield. Just swap and break the shield. I'm too busy focused on using only this gun to, you know, do the smart thing. But that's fine. It is a weapon showcase after all, and if I wasn't showcasing the weapon because I was trying to play smart, then you might, you know, not get a good idea of this weapon, which I can't say it's incredibly different. I can say it has a very special and unique niche, to an extent. It's like Sweet Business, you know? And Sweet Business isn't bad. I think Sweet Business is actually a really strong and really slept on weapon right now. However, it takes an exotic slot, and there are a lot of really broken exotics, if we're being honest here. So the fact that this is Sweet Business, a little bit less cool. It's not a minigun, it's not a chain gun, it's not, you know, it's not that. But it's still a really, really solid weapon. It's really good, and it does have Rampage, which Sweet Business does not. So I'd say that and not taking an exotic slot makes it a really, really good weapon to go for. Not everyone wants to go for the mountaintop because that's the PvP exclusive. Not everyone wants to spend all their time doing boring old strikes, and I get that. So, to those who don't want to do that and they want to mix the two, Breakneck is a great weapon to go for. If you get bored of Gambit or you get upset with Gambit, you can spend some time going for the loaded question and strikes. That's what we did. We took like a break or two, so maybe it wasn't a full 9-10 hours, but still a really long time to get 40 games in. But it was a lot of fun. In fact, we all discussed the fact that we had a lot more fun playing Gambit today than we had in the past. Obviously, a couple Gambit balance changes, which made Gambit pretty different to play and really refreshing and just a general good time. And if I could have had this weapon the entire time we were playing Gambit, oh baby, it would have been so great, because it's a 450 that becomes a 600 at one point. You know, I used to love 600s. We don't really have that many of them. We have the Ether Doctor, and I've never gotten a good roll to be able to use that full time. So I've learned to love 450s. So pretty much as it goes through the different fire rates, compare that to the fact that I've been using Thunderlord because of Gambit, and I'm already used to it, you know? I'm used to it, except it's in a different slot, and I get to use it all the time. It's fun. Every single time you get a rampage increase, you don't have to worry about seeing it on the left for those who don't pay attention to that. You just feel the gun start firing faster. It's really satisfying to use, right? So between any activity you're using, you're going to be satisfied. It's going to do a good job. I think it's a really good weapon, and granted, do I think it was worth doing it all at once? No. The experience was worth doing it all at once, but the gun itself, no. Especially seeing as I could have just gotten it over the course of a couple days, and I wouldn't have had to broke my neck over the Breakneck. But it's got a really good sight as well. I haven't discussed the sight, but speaking of the sight, speaking of the aesthetic of the gun, I think the gun looks nice. I think it's a good concept, and I understand what they're going for by not letting you shade the belt on it, but oh boy does it fucking hurt me that I have this yellow and black gun with a brown belt on it, and it's silly, and a lot of shaders look good with it, but I'd say more shaders look bad with it than anything else. I get it, they're kind of trying to push you in the right direction, or they're understanding that some people like their silly shader combos on weapons and whatnot, and this is definitely one of them, Bumblebee on it. And I know you're thinking like, oh, Bumblebee always looks like shit, but I mean, it's a little bit worse when there's a belt wrapped around it, you know, a brown belt. No, it doesn't contrast it well at all. It just kind of looks awkward. I don't hate it, but it would be interesting to see the belt change colors as well, especially seeing as the green of the little dog tag or whatever you'd call it with the Gambit logo on it. That's not going to change. That makes sense. That's fine. But the belt too, it's a bit much. But overall, like, an aesthetic of a weapon isn't going to stop me from using it. And I know you might be like, but you said you like Horror Story because it doesn't look like Tiger's Bite. Look, we're not here to point out me contradicting myself. We're here to look at the weapon. It's a really solid weapon. It's a really fun weapon. And if you haven't gotten it, I mean, or even started trying to get it, or you're just like writing it off because oh, you heard it's a pinnacle weapon and it's scary, go for it. A lot of people are going for the mountaintop, and I just, like, don't get me wrong, I'm gonna go for the mountaintop. I went for Luna's on the last day of it. I'm gonna go for the mountaintop. I think the mountaintop, I think it's okay. I don't think it's anything crazy. When I think crazy, I think both Loaded Question and Breakneck, you know? I thought both of them were better. And obviously you can tell by the gameplay that I'm purposely cutting, because how them Duke boys gonna get out of this one? Y'all saw the hammer flying right at me. You know how that ends. You don't need to see it. I'm gonna switch straight to you finally getting to see the PvP aspect. You're like, oh, you never invaded. No, I did invade, and right here, not a lot of time left, we melt one person and we almost killed the second. And honestly, that's on my bad. If I was tracking a little bit better, if I would have snapped to the second guy a little bit quicker, you would have noticed it being different. And here, you're gonna see the boss damage isn't that bad. Granted, we have a melting point and a well of radiance, but it's not that bad. But we're gonna keep invading. I still want to show off the PvP. I talked about it. I discussed why I think it's a fine PvP weapon, and I need to show you. And I think what's coming up here is a really good example. And I'm sorry about switching from just talking about the gun in general to going directly talking about the gameplay, but you need to witness this. They're in a well of radiance. I'm like, okay, we're doing this. Empowering Rift, we're gonna contest it. You see, we're not killing here. I throw a grenade, and the burst damage is gonna be enough to let me break through him. And we end up killing him, and we kill a dude through the entire well of radiance because of the increased fire rate, because of the increased damage, between everything. It is a really, really good weapon. I didn't realize the dude is still invaded. He killed one of us. We're going to revive him real quick. And I understand that this game is pretty much lost. They're going to melt it. That happens. We're going to kill these phalanxes. And luckily enough, the portal opens, except they're melting. You know, the game's over. It's over. It's over. And that's fine, because we showed off the weapon. It's a great weapon. I got the weapon in the first day. I'm happy with it. I got a video out on the first day. You know, there's nothing more I can ask for. I played it really well, and right here you can see, just if you get headshots, the gun just melts. It's so good. I'm a big fan of it. Don't think it's going to replace Horror Story for me, but that's just personal preference, but I'm definitely going to use it from time to time. I love auto rifles, and this is one of the best ones we've gotten. And 75 hostiles killed for a game where I'm just fucking around trying out a new weapon. I'll say it's pretty good. And I'll also say, if you like the video, if you like the weapon, any of that, feel free to like, subscribe, comment, do what you want, comment a weapon you want and see me show off, comment whatever the fuck you want. I don't care. Like it, dislike it, it doesn't matter. Thank you for watching the video if you made it this far. And I mean, feel free to check me out on my other social media. That's the point of this thing being on the screen. I do Twitch, I stream there. Not Destiny so much, but kind of want to go back to streaming some Destiny. I'm rambling. That's the end of the video. Thank you guys for coming out.